Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As today is Wednesday, there is obviously gonna be some PMQ questionings, and this one feels rather important, something tells me. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Mr. Speaker, in 30 minutes, we will hear the Chancellor's emergency budget. Even the Home Secretary's husband calls it an emergency budget. As she scrambles to fix the mess she made last October. But first, let's turn to another government minister who is making a mess of her brief, the Education Secretary. Why did Labour MPs vote against banning phones in schools last week?
Why would you want to ban phones? Isn't this already a thing? I think majority of schools already do ban phones being used inside school. This is already a thing, if I'm not wrong, right? And also, number two, banning phones in school, that's just one step of the process. There is still a bigger deal, because when they leave school, right, there is still life after school. I know, shock, right? The access that you're trying to restrict from them being open to in school is still going to be there when they leave school. So that just seems like a very incompetent way to answer the question of trying to reduce the kind of content young people are consuming. That doesn't seem adequate in any way, shape or form, because they still have way more time to be able to consume the same content you're trying to restrict after school. So it seems rather incompetent, to be honest, banning from some school. It doesn't really solve any problem.
Minister? Because it's completely unnecessary. I've got teenage children. Almost every school bans phones in school.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
do it already. We need to concentrate on what's really important here, which is getting to the content that children shouldn't be accessing.
Yeah, that's a better way, yeah.
That's where I would genuinely like to work across the House, because I think there's a huge amount of work to do. But the battle is not with schools that are already banning phones in school. The battle, and this is an important emerging battle, is to work together to ensure that we can ensure that the content that children are accessing, wherever they are...
Exactly, wherever they are. Because if you ban it in school, that's fine, but it's just one part of the problem. That doesn't solve anything.
...is suitable for their age.
Mr. Speaker, we can look at the content, but if the ban is unnecessary, then why is it that they've started a review? Just last week, his Education Secretary called a ban a bit gimmick, yet teachers and head teachers say the evidence already shows that schools that ban phones get better results. And he's wrong. Not all schools do this. Only 1 in 10 schools are smartphone free. So will he U-turn on this?
First of all, right, doing well in school, you could advocate for banning phones in school. That would make him do well. But the main goal of this isn't just doing well in school. It's the content that's been shared online that you're really focusing on. If your aim is for them to do better in school, yeah, sure, ban phones in school, sure. But if the main goal is to reduce how toxic the content is that these young people are consuming, then banning phone in school doesn't seem to fix it, because just making them improve in school, that's one step. But reducing the kind of content that they're consuming, that's a whole big deal. So I think she's getting wrong the main aim or the end goal of the action here.
We need to ensure that all schools do this, but the vast majority do. Look, it is really important that we focus on the battle we have to have with mobile phones, which is the content that children are able to access.
That's the point, exactly. That's the end goal. Doing well in school is one thing, but doing well while still consuming bad and really, really bad ideologies online, that's the main goal. That's the end goal. Okay, doing well in school is just one part of the process.
And we need to ensure that that is controlled wherever they are. It's a question of having the right battle on the right issue, not wasting time on something where almost all schools are already banning mobile phones.
Kemi Badenoch
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that the Prime Minister would say this. His own government's evidence says that phones disrupt nearly half of GCSE classes every single day. Discipline is the #1 issue in many schools. Under the Conservatives, schools became twice as likely to be good or outstanding after going through our behaviour programme. So why did the Education Secretary abolish that programme?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, she talks about the record of the last government. Under their watch, a third of children started school without appropriate level development, and that is not being able to use a knife and fork.
That's one thing I'm very surprised about. You were literally in power for 14 years. How come you didn't have this enforced on every school then? How come, like, why, if it's such a big deal, why didn't you do it?
Quarter left primary school without the required standard of reading, writing and maths, and 1 in 5 was regularly absent. That's why we're pushing up standards, more information from Ofsted, transparency for parents, more interventions where schools need it.
Mr. Speaker, he's not answering the question about discipline in schools because he doesn't care about discipline in schools. Everything he does is ideological, and his decisions are costing schools so much. The national insurance hike means every state school in the country has to pay more for teachers. The Education Secretary promised to compensate schools in full for the jobs tax. Why hasn't it happened?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it was Labour that introduced academies. We pushed up standards. And this is not ideological. I'm a parent of 2 teenage children, both of whom go to a state school. So I'm vested in this, and it matters hugely to me. Nothing ideological about it. That is why we're driving up standards, as we always have done.
Mr. Speaker, he didn't answer the question about compensating schools for the jobs tax. That is costing schools a lot of money. The CEO of the United Learning Group says the grant that they gave is 20% short. Some schools will face shortfalls of up to 35%. Can he guarantee that no teacher will lose their job as a result of his jobs tax?
Mr. Speaker, with this government at the budget that put a record amount into our schools, just as we put a record amount into our NHS and into our public services, we were utterly failed under the last government. But yet again, she wants all the benefits, the NHS, but she can't say how she's going to pay for it. That's
Exactly, that's the problem. That's literally the problem right there. Like, you had so long in power to be able to do these things, and now that things are gradually improving, it's like, oh no, but it's not good enough. Everyone is not winning. Yeah, not everyone can win.
That's what got us into the mess in the first place.
Mr. Speaker, the whole House will have heard that he could not guarantee that teachers' jobs are safe. Not only is he taxing schools, he's also lowering standards. He talks about our record. I'll tell him what our record was. Under the Conservatives, English schools shot up the international league tables, while schools in Labour-run Wales, standards fell. Academy freedoms led to the biggest improvement of standards in a generation, but the Education Secretary is attacking them with her reforms. Can the Prime Minister point to any evidence at all, that these discredited academy reforms will improve school standards?
Prime Minister.
Yes, take the example of schools going into academies. The vast majority of schools are already academies. Therefore, we need to think again about what we do about failing schools that are already academies. We need to go on to the next chapter. And they never take the big decisions, and that's why we ended up their record. Open borders, which she was the cheerleader.
That's the problem. They've never taken... Yes, so true.
A crashed economy, mortgages through the roof, the NHS on its knees, hollowed out armed forces. But what have we got already under this government? 2 million extra NHS appointments, 750 breakfast clubs, including one in her constituency, record numbers of people being returned who shouldn't be here, and fully funded increase in defence spending. That's the difference a Labour government makes.
Obviously, I didn't expect much from Kemi Badenoch, right? Usually she comes in, tries, but the problem she's having is that she's constantly, every single time trying to attack things that's already been done. You can't attack things that's already been done, because if you try and make it look like, oh, why aren't you doing this better? It's like, listen, you were in power a few months ago. We're doing it now. It's a long process. We're doing it now. She needs to go on things that are not being done, things that are not being taken into consideration. That's what's actually going to make her improve in this question, because she's had a bit of what time now, and yet still she doesn't seem to be improving overall, but she just needs to do better. But that's just my thoughts on it. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and you can drop in the comments any difference in opinions that you have. I will definitely check it out. Thank you.